I'm Christine McKay with Northridge Publishing, and we have Shannon Lerner with us from Provo Craft. And Shannon's been with us all day today, so if you haven't checked out any of her other videos, you can do that simply by going to our YouTube channel. She's been telling us about some of the hot new products. But one thing that I was especially excited to have you do for us today is kind of talk about the expression and go over some of the most commonly asked questions.
Let's demystify it a little bit.
Yeah, demystify it.
Okay. I think one of the biggest questions that we've been getting since we've launched the Imagine machine is, will my Imagine cartridges work with the original Expression machine? So I kind of want to go over just the cartridges just for a second first.
Oh, I'd love it.
Okay, so originally when the Expression came out, we had full cartridges, and the cartridges actually come with a booklet, a cartridge, and then also an overlay, which changes with, and these three items change with every cartridge. And it's a full cartridge, so it has hundreds of images on it. The next thing that Provo Craft came out with was what we call solutions cartridges. So they obviously do not have as many images, and because it doesn't come with the book, it still comes with the cartridge. We've also launched these seasonally, which is amazing. So it's a limited quantity.
Which I love. I mean, these are limited editions, so you kind of want to get it while you can.
Absolutely. And this is our Imagine cartridge. And kind of like how we were talking like off camera, we'll always go forward with technology, but we will not go backward. So your Imagine cartridge does not even look like the Expression cartridge. So it will not work in this machine. But your Expression cartridges will always work in your Imagine.
And I love that because Provo Craft is so amazing with the technology that they come out with, that they're always coming out with new machines with new technology, but they will never ask you to go back and rebuy all of your cartridges.
Absolutely.
So all of the cartridges that you have will always work with the newer machines.
And we love those images. We just want to keep on using them.
Oh, yeah.
So we just try to enhance it with the next machine that we come out with.
Okay, so other than the cartridges, what are some other most commonly asked questions?
What people want to know about are these dials. The dials.
That would be me.
So we have 2 dials on the left and 1 dial on the right. And let's start with the ones that are on the left. So there's 2. There's one on the top and there's also one on the bottom. The one on the top is the speed. And I like to have everything on max, which is the fastest it'll go.
And that's me. I'm all about like I'm so impatient. The quicker, the better.
Absolutely.
So my question for you is why would you ever want it at a slower speed?
Well, one of the things that the Expression can cut is it can cut vinyl. It can also cut fabric. So when I'm actually cutting fabric or vinyl, especially if it's a detailed picture, I will go ahead and change the speed to be slower so that it'll actually take the time to go around the corner and it won't catch it.
Okay.
The next item, the next dial is actually the pressure dial. So the pressure dial is how deep and what type of pressure will actually be cutting on the cardstock, on your fabric, if you use markers, on your markers, and on the vinyl. I generally always keep it at a maximum. However, there are cases when you don't need a full pressure. For instance, with a vinyl, I would definitely probably just keep it at a medium, maybe a high, and that would be just so that it doesn't go through the paper on the sticky part on the bottom, so you can lift it off your mat super easy.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Because on the little cutting blade, the housing itself, it has the dial.
Absolutely.
You know, that goes from like size 1 to size 6.
You bet.
So how is that different from the pressure
They
dial?
actually like work in conjunction with each other. And if you take out the housing unit and you have it at a 1, the blade is all the way in the top. You can't even feel it with your finger.
So it's a really light cut.
Super light. And I know that a lot of people, they just maybe want to scratch the surface of a piece of paper, so they'll do that and then they'll ink on it or they'll just stress
cool.
it.
I hadn't even thought about that.
So that's a lot of times where people would use a 1. Now, a 6 would be the most pressure that you can do, and that'd be if you're cutting a balsam wood, maybe you want to cut metal. If you're cutting a fabric, I usually try to do that at like the deepest pressure. So putting that at a 6, and then also maybe putting the pressure at a 6 will ensure the crispest cut that you can get on a chipboard. If you want to cut a cereal box, a piece of plastic, a piece of acrylic to make your own stencil material, that's when I would go ahead and use those in conjunction with each other with the most pressure that you can do.
So if I understand you correctly, the blade on the housing unit has more to do with the depth of the material that you're working with, and the pressure is more like how hard, how hard you're pushing down on it.
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Absolutely correct.
Cool. Okay, that is like a light bulb moment for me.
Okay, so the one dial that's on the right is the one for size. And if you go ahead and move it, and I don't know if you can see this on camera, it'll actually go ahead and change the size, and it changes it in 1/4 inch increments. So that's a good way to go ahead and gauge what size the item's gonna be on your piece of paper.
Love it.
Okay, so the other keys I would love to go over would be quantity. People always wanna know, well, what's the difference between quantity autofill, and fit to page.
Yes.
Because there's sometimes that you want to use all three differently. So quantity, if you touch quantity, it'll say in the display to go ahead and use the arrow keys to choose the quantity that you want. They are not the arrow keys over here by the cut. They're actually the ones right below. And if you can see this on camera, it'll actually go ahead and change from, let's go ahead. We'll actually change from the number 1 to the number 2. You can go to there's 11, 12, 13, 14. You can cut it like 23 times, 33 times, as much of a quantity that you want.
Cool.
Now the difference between that and autofill would be if my son's teacher's like, oh, you know, we have this tooth chart, I have this piece of paper, I need to get as many as you can get on this piece of paper. So I'll find the exact size that she would want. Let's say it's a 1-inch tooth. I'll load my mat and I'll hit autofill 1 inch and choose the picture of the item and hit cut. And it'll cut as many times.
That is awesome.
And it'll actually tell you in the screen how many times it'll fit, how many times it'll cut on that page.
Okay, I love that.
So that's awesome. The next is actually fit to page. So with fit to page, it'll actually take whatever image you choose and make it as big as it can for either a 12 by 12 or a 12 by 24 mat.
Okay, that is really cool. So if you have a 12 by 12 piece of paper, it's going to cut out a 12 by 12 H, for instance.
Absolutely.
Okay, that is so cool. Shannon, thank you
You're
so much for
welcome.
stopping by, because some of those are actually questions that I had as well, and you just, honestly, light bulb moment for me. So for more great tips or questions, you can check out some of our other videos on the YouTube channel, or you can go to Cricut.com. But really what we want to do is, this is just the first of a continuing series with Shannon to answer your questions. Because, you know, we were talking about, you know, so many women, they get this home and they've spent so much money on it that they're overwhelmed and they're afraid they're going to break it, or they have, you know, they're just scared.
Absolutely. They're afraid to take it out of the box. And don't be afraid, this machine will take it.
And that's what I love. These are so hardy. And so we want you to use your machine. So any questions that you have, please send them to Christine@northridgepublishing.com, or leave a comment for Shannon and I right here on our YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
And we will come back time and time again to answer all of those questions, because we really do want you to get the most out of your machine.